As most of you know, Father's Day was recently, and I was racking my brain for about a month before to figure out what the perfect gift would be for my father. One day I was at Kohl's and I saw that there was a pop-up card, like one of those things that you open it up and a little thing comes out of it, like flowers or cake or something. It's like a 3D little paper image. This one was of the Beatles on Abbey Road. My father's a huge Beatles fan, so immediately I thought of him and I thought, I could get that and write something cute inside. However, they were all out because it was probably just so popular that they ran out pretty quick, so that was unfortunate, except for the fact that I usually don't just go and buy a card. I usually make my own. I like to be artsy about it, and I feel like it means more when it comes from someone instead of you just buying it. But I still liked the idea of having the Beatles on Abbey Road and giving that kind of card to my father, so I thought, I'll make my own. My father has this funny little thing where he had 4 daughters, and there was 4 Beatles, so he decided to make each of us a Beatle. So my oldest sister was Paul, my second oldest sister was John, and then I was Ringo, and my youngest sister was George. Unfortunately, there wasn't just 4 of us girls. Eventually my brother was born, and so he got the unfortunate character of Nowhere Man from Yellow Submarine, if anybody knows what that is. So because my father did this thing where he labeled each of us as a Beatle, I thought it would be kind of fun to customize the card to make it look like us on Abbey Road, but as the Beatles that we are. So I decided to grab the image of Abbey Road with the Beatles on it and kind of just tweak it a little bit so that I could use that as a reference to make it onto the card. When I was first making the card, I thought I would just freehand it and draw it all, and it was okay if it was a little off, but knowing me, I should have known that wasn't going to work. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I like things to be even, especially when it comes to perspective or like height and stuff of like certain characters, especially if I'm using a reference. If I was making up on my own and it was just my own imagination, it wouldn't matter so much, but since I actually had an image that I was copying from, it has to be exactly like that. So I scrapped that idea of just drawing it out and measuring it out myself, and I used tracing paper and carbon paper to transfer it over to the card so that I could use that as a template or stencil type of thing, so that I could use it and make sure that I'm just like filling it in instead of having to draw it all out myself and being frustrated over the fact that maybe I didn't get the dimensions right. So after I was done tracing it, I put the carbon paper on and then I traced over the carbon, and so it transferred the image. After that, I made sure to outline everything, and then I started coloring it in and started figuring out the right colors for everything. Now, there's not a lot of detail on there to make it look like us other than the hairstyles, but I had my siblings text me, their favorite hairstyle or what they currently looked like so that it could look like us enough, or at least what we currently look like now. And I did change a little bit of the body shape to make it look more feminine for the most part for each of us. So for the most part, it was us, and my father definitely recognized it as us. I think the teal hair gave it away for my sister. After that, I realized that I hadn't even thought about how I was going to do Happy Father's Day, and so I just looked up the Beatles logo, and from there I just kind of made my own little template, and I made sure to measure it out on my card with a ruler, but other than that, I did it all by hand. It wasn't carbon copied over like the Beatles were. Now, the art was not too hard to think about. It did take me a long time. It took me about 7 hours to actually like draw it all out and color it all in, including like the writing on the inside. And of course, doing my brother's little character on the inside too, which I just made have a poof of hair on top and a little bit skinnier since he's not that big. So it's not much that changed on his character, but it was enough, I guess. The writing part I thought was going to take me a lot longer than it did. It took me about 3 hours to figure it all out. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, what would I want to write in his card? So I thought since I was doing a Beatles theme already, I should still go with a Beatles theme for the writing. So I decided to use Abbey Road, the album, and use each song from that album to write up a little, not like poem per se, but some like thoughts and things about how great a father he was. It really worked out to how I was feeling at this last year, not being able to see him with COVID and all that. Now that we're able to see each other a little bit more because we're all vaccinated, it's been really nice, and I've missed him a lot. So it worked out to where I could give that emotion, but also use Beatles songs for most of the writing, actually. I did have to tweak a few lyrics here and there to make it sound or flow better. Also, some of the songs were definitely not a daughter-father type love, and so I had to kind of change that too to make sure that it wasn't weird. That only took me about 3 hours to do, and I did that before I even started drawing out the card because I thought that would be the hardest part, but it actually turned out to be the card taking forever. So on the day that I gave my father this card, it was really funny. Like, my siblings were afraid he wouldn't get all the lyrics right away, or that he wouldn't see all the little references. Because, again, I did have to change a little bit here and there. But literally the first reference he saw in there, he, recognized it. I don't think he quite understood that I was making the reference on purpose. But he started singing the next lyric from that reference, and I was like, wait, what? And because it confused me, I was like, that's not what I wrote in the card. And he was like, oh, Your Majesty, and he started singing the lyrics again, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And so then he kept reading, and he recognized every single reference. He is such a big Beatles fan, and I know that he really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed making it, and I'm just glad that I could do this for him. My family's pretty creative when it comes to all this stuff, and we like doing this for each other, so I was glad that I could do something for him since he is such a good father, and I wanted him to know that I appreciated him. So I could obviously give this time to him because he's given so much of his time to me. Anyways, to all the fathers out there that are great and awesome, happy late Father's Day. To my father, of course he knows I said that already, but he is a good father, and I really appreciate him, and I hope that he really liked the card as much as I think he did. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching.